Well, hello to all you beautiful people out there. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. And yes, I really do hope you're doing well. I actually give a shit, believe it or not. I have a couple topics I'd like to talk about today. I have a few moments, so I'd like to share something with you. It's about gaslighting ourselves and imposter syndrome. So you may be asking yourself, what exactly is gaslighting? What is imposter syndrome? I'm sure a lot of you already know, but in order to continue, I might as well define what these mean. Gaslighting is basically a form of psychological control over another person. Gaslighting is usually shown in relationships when a person tries to make another feel like they're the one that's going crazy rather than the one that's right. A good example, and the best one that comes off the top of my head, would be husband and wife are in a relationship. The wife knows that the husband is sleeping around. She has plenty of evidence for it. She confronts him, and he tells her she's probably having a psychotic breakdown, continues to pass the buck onto her, making her feel like she's losing her mind. And this is so common that it's often overlooked as just normal psychology, how people behave. Now, whenever I've been called out on things, I've found myself wanting to retort with certain things as well. No, it couldn't be me, it couldn't be me. And plenty of times in my life I've found, okay, it is me. Of course, then I have to analyze whether I give a shit or not. But that's a whole different video. In the sense that maybe another person says, hey, what you're doing I don't like, and you say, well, too bad. That kind of attitude. But gaslighting ourselves is a completely different thing. And I think this is often overlooked even more so. That we convince ourselves that we're going crazy, that we're not sure about our convictions, we're not sure about what we believe. And that's okay. And this goes to the podcast I made the other day, which please check it out. It's basically called It's Okay to Change Your Mind. Changing your mind is okay. But what happens is, if we're afraid to do so, we end up gaslighting ourselves. We end up thinking that we're losing our minds, that we're not quite sure about something. It's okay to be on the fence. Being a fence sitter is okay. There's no penalty for not being sure about things. But there are certain things that you do want to have convictions on. But often we can't defend our position. We have a belief because we heard something or read something, but then we read something else that conflicts with that. And then we start asking ourselves questions. So, what is the imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome, I think, falls into this category because it's what self-gaslighting will lead to. If you continue to tell yourself that, that you're going crazy, that you're not sure about your decisions, it leads to imposter syndrome, which is basically never thinking that you're good enough for what you have. Now, I resonate with this strongly. I have always felt this as a main component of my psyche and not realized it until I discovered what it was. Imposter syndrome is where you always think that you're not valued as much as you are valued. That even though, for example, my YouTube channel, I don't feel I deserve the subscribers I have. And even though only a fraction of my subscribers watch my channel, because I've had it for so long, a lot of the subscribers are probably dead channels. There's only a few hundred people. But then I think that's too many. Like, I don't deserve this audience. Nothing I say is worthy. This is how a lot of YouTubers, creators, movie makers, authors start curating what they say in order to cater to the masses because they're afraid of being rejected, but not just by other people. We're afraid of being rejected by ourselves. If we're a musician and we write a song, it's never quite good enough. And even if we like it for a while, and I've seen this so many times, oh, that old song that I wrote, I don't like that song, I can't stand it anymore. I don't feel this way about my art or my music. In fact, I play some of my first songs because I have pride in what I've created. But at the same time, there's part of me that says, this is crap. This is junk. This is never good enough. You're an imposter. You shouldn't be creating art. Don't call yourself an artist. You're not an artist. You should be working a 9 to 5 and not bothering with this. There are people who are amazing artists. They can draw and paint and create. You see these people who build these amazing contraptions and spend years on these projects, whatever it may be. And you think, well, fuck, if I just had the time to do that, But even with the time, you say, well, I don't have the type of inspiration they have to do that. And then you start looking at your own things, your own creations, and say, wow, this is really crappy. This isn't up to the par. It's like when I was a cannabis grower, even though I had some of the best nugs around, I was just like, it's just not quite good enough. It's almost, you're embarrassed with your own efforts, with your own work. And I think that I might come across differently to people in my personal life, that I am actually proud of everything I do, for example, because I always say, hey, look what I created, look what I've done, or look what I'm writing, or I'm making a book. But it's for the approval. I know this deep down inside. Not just their approval, though. The self-approval. Because when others approve of us, it's the only way that we can approve of ourselves. And it's unfortunate this is true. And I know some will disagree after thinking this through, saying, well, just because other people don't like what I do doesn't mean that I can't like what I do. I don't know if this is necessarily true. I feel like as humans, as social creatures, we look around us, and if others don't like things that we like, we start to question our own reality and our own sanity. And so this is something I've discovered personally, because I have a lot of interests, a lot of weird things I like to do that other people are not interested in. I haven't met any other people who like the stupid little weird crafts I like to do, but they're out there. And the internet's kind of brought more of that forward, small little communities and groups. But a lot of us like to be isolated. We like to do our own thing. And so when it comes to like living in the modern world, we're faced with all this bullshit around us, all the crap that's going on in the nation, in the world right now, with the economy, inflation, there's so much happening that now I feel like it's worse than ever. Because at least in the past, when I was growing up, you could say, well, if I go to college and I graduate, I can get a good job. I can get a house and have a family and live my life. Kids don't even have that option today. They don't feel like they have that option today. That homes are so expensive and inflation is so high that we're living on a borrowed economy, basically, that everything is rent to own now. And it's got to really be heartbreaking for those who want to create something for themselves to see that the division between, there was a time when you could be innovative and create something new and make a modest living, but now that's falling by the wayside. You have people who work for other people, and then you have people who start companies and then get bought out by larger companies. And buyouts and buyouts and buyouts, and these multi-conglomerates like Alphabet, which owns Google, which owns YouTube. So when I'm uploading to YouTube, I'm uploading to Alphabet. And that's just how it is, So the point here being that with all the just different angles of what's going on, it's hard for us sometimes to really value what we do. Like as a guy who's made YouTube videos for 10 years, my channel was growing and then it stopped one day. And it wasn't because of anything I did, I found out. It was the algorithm. It didn't appreciate me talking about Kratom or something else, psychedelics perhaps. And therefore I was just left on the burner. And so it makes me feel like, well, what am I doing wrong for my channel? I must be an imposter. I'm not worthy. So I start gaslighting myself. And I slap myself and remind myself that, hey, it's okay. We're all just humans. But it's not just that. It's many things in my own life. And I'm just mentioning that because I know that will reflect in a lot of your lives. Because I know that many of us don't think we're doing good enough. And we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. Am I supposed to be just bringing home a bunch of money? I mean, there are people who bring home a ton of money, but it never seems to be enough. Then there are people who work 24 hours a day, and it just never seems to be enough. There are people who from every angle, try to figure out what this life's about. And my conclusion is that it really comes down to those interactions with family and the experiences we have together, the places we go, the things we do. That the day-to-day life is just something, of course, you don't live to work. You work to live. And that's something I think a lot of us forget. But at any rate, that's my ramble for the day. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to y'all next time. Make sure you give the podcast a listen if you haven't checked it out yet already. It's 15-minute free thinking. Still working on my merchandise. And thank you to my patrons. Talk to y'all next time. Be well.